Good evening, I'm Whippy-Knight and welcome to On Point, where we talk to successful women and men of Fiji, wherever they may be. This evening I have with me Kim Beddoes, the youngest woman ever to be named Businesswoman of the Year by Women in Business. Miss Beddoes is a pioneer in the Fiji events and wedding industry, a very busy person, and so we're very happy to have her on the show. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Ellen. Lovely
Now,
to be here.
just say, before anything happens, how fabulous you look. What are you wearing?
Oh, I am wearing one of Samson Lee's latest designs.
Is that from his new collection?
Yes, it is. It's actually not
the
on...
Walker collection?
Yes.
Right.
Samson and I went to primary school together.
Right.
And I said, help, I'm coming on Ellen's show. I'm being interviewed by the fashion queen of Fiji.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure about that, but I can tell you we really definitely have had all of our women have been particularly well presented. So you come very well appropriately dressed.
Thank you.
The colours match you very well.
Thank you.
And I do love your earrings.
Yes, this is earrings by Warwick Marlowe. And if you look closely, you can see that it's recycled bottles in the shape of fish. So support local business.
Absolutely right. And talking about local business, you are the daughter of a local entrepreneur, Mr. Mick Beddoes, ex-politician, ex-Suva Grammar School.
Oh, yes, the grammar school.
Started the first local band in Fiji called Events Stylist. And you've been brought up as the child of someone who was also very prominent in the tourism industry with Sun Tours, who organised events, organised tourist tours and all of that. So it's no wonder why you're in the events industry. So tell me about your upbringing.
Well, one of the most common questions I get asked is, where do I get my work ethic from?
Yes.
Because I work a lot. And I get it from my parents. So my parents started their business with $200 savings and a second-hand typewriter. So I was brought up in a family, work is work, and they worked hard. So I don't know how to not work hard.
Yes.
So I was blessed to be brought up by entrepreneurs. My parents were pioneers in the industry too, with the tourism industry. So I grew up with a pretty wonderful childhood because I got to go to hotels and I was very much a part of the tourism industry. So Uncle Dan Costello and Beachcomber and
that was a golden age in tourism, wasn't it?
And I spent so many of my weekends, if I wasn't at Beachcomber with Uncle Dan Costello, then I spent a lot of time down at the Fijian hotel, Mr. and Mrs. Randikin Gerengeri Tamboa.
Another pioneer.
Yeah, and when I was really small, the Korolevu, owned by the Clarks, Mr. and Mrs. Clark. So
what a time in life it was in those days.
I had a wonderful upbringing.
With all those people that you met who were absolute pioneers, go-getters, it's no wonder why you picked up all these skills just observing what they did, and you went on to become a national swimming champion. You had quite a career in swimming.
I represented, not that you could tell now, but I represented Fiji a couple of times.
We all move on in life, you know.
Yeah. I was into sports. I guess I've always been the same from when I was a kid. My parents, in their business, their aim was excellence, to be the best at what they did. So I don't know any better. So anything I put my mind to, my aim is to be the best. So when I was in swimming, my aim was to be the best in swimming. My original plans in life was I wanted to be Michael Jackson's backup dancer. Because I love dancing so much.
Fantastic.
I really did.
Because, you could have taken over. I could have.
And so, but unfortunately, when I was a kid, we didn't have dance schools. No. So I'm incredibly jealous of children today because they've got awesome organizations such as VO. There's dance schools in Fiji. But that was my original plan when I was a kid until I got to finishing high school and I realized that if you want to be Michael Jackson's backup dancer, you needed to be dancing from the minute you were born. But anyway, with regards to my childhood, I had a wonderful upbringing and the tourism industry in Fiji, and just growing up in Fiji was such a wonderful experience.
From there on, you went on to radio, which was a very good job for you.
Being paid to talk and listen to music.
That's right. And you were the first DJ, women DJ legend.
Yes. So what happened is I applied to the South Pacific Games. The largest event ever held in Fiji was the 2003 South Pacific Games. So I applied and I got the job ahead of everyone else that had applied.
What was the job?
The job was events coordinator. So I was the events coordinator for the largest event ever held in Fiji's history. And as part of my role, I had to promote the games within Fiji. I had to help get people excited. So it was a events and marketing role. So as part of that, I was on TV, I was on radio, I was in the papers all the time being interviewed and promoting the event. So CFL, Legend FM, picked up on that I had an ability to speak.
Talk very well.
Yes,
and say lots.
so they offered me a job.
When you were working on the 2003 South Pacific Games,
yes,
you were in the office in Dakambah Road.
Yes, yes.
And Bernadette Rounds Nganila
yes.
was the marketing director.
Yes, yes. So Charles Taylor,
Yes.
who was the director then of Legend FM, and he's still with the CFL team in Papua New Guinea, he approached me and said, you'd be perfect for radio. So I took over the Simply Sunday show from Gaetan Austin. And I had my own show. It was Legend FM Simply Sunday. And it was not long after that I was asked to join the breakfast show. So I was the first female breakfast show host on Legend FM. And till today, one of my most favorite jobs. Again, getting paid to talk and listen to great music.
Very well. And also something else that you did, which was very unusual in those days, was the animal show. What was that about?
Yes.
The very first one.
So
Were dogs and cats actually talking on the show?
No.
Right.
But as you know from being in TV, dealing with humans is difficult sometimes. But dealing with children on camera, and then you add children and animals on camera. So long story short of that is I've grown up, my mum has always loved animals. I was grown up to love and respect animals, and all my friends know that I've always had a soft spot for animals. So what I did is I approached Fiji TV and I approached the SPCA, and I said I would like to start a show, and it was the Get Set Pet of the Week. And so I created the show with Fiji TV, and I did it free of charge. I did it as a volunteer, and I said if any money was raised through advertising, as long as it's donated to the SPCA.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a great show, and I did it for the purposes of inspiring and educating the children of Fiji to be kinder to animals in general.
And I'll tell you what, do we really need more education on that end? Because when you see some of the animals in Fiji, I've seen so many dogs lying around the place and cats, and I have about five cats myself and 2 dogs. So I understand what you're saying. I think we need more education in that area. Then you move.
And children are the key. If we can inspire and educate the children, then when they grow up, it'll change the attitude of how we treat animals in this country. Yes,
correct. You came from that area, and then you went into events. And one thing I want to say, Kim, is that I have never seen anybody work so hard as you do in events. And you started your own company. The difference between you and companies like Total Events, those successful corporate companies, and Total Events here in Suva, and ATS in Nandi, and Kim Beddoes, is that they were supported by big backers in a corporate environment. Little young Kim comes out of a radio career in TV, and you started with literally nothing.
Some second-hand tables and chairs that my father gave me, yes.
So what did you do, and why?
Because I have always been inspired. My heroes are people like Oprah. And I've always been inspired, and everyone that is successful and happy, my father has always said, get to happiness and everything else will fall in place. And I love events. So I was born into a family of not only entrepreneurs, but musicians. And to answer the question before you ask, I cannot sing to save myself. People assume that I can.
Do a bit of a duet that I have actually done with your dad and your Uncle Bill.
So I come from a family of entertainers and singers. So sounds, light, action, music. It was, I was born into families that do that. So I was always a big part of my life. And then having my father's company, Sun Tours, they created a separate division called Sports and Events Management. So from when I was a teenager, I was following my father around to all the events that he did.
Great.
And he won awards for that as well.
I'm sure he would have. Let's hold it right there and come back to that. You're watching On Point with Ellen Whippy-Knight and Kim Beddoes. You're back on point where I'm talking to Kim Beddoes, the fantastic events organizer here based in Fiji. And we're just talking about what this business really is about and how she got it to where it is. How did you do it, Kim?
A lot of hard work.
Yes, I know. Party events Party and Events Fiji is probably one of the biggest companies of its type, and you were the person that brought it there in a very short period of time, I must add.
Thank you, thank you. Well, one of the most common questions I get asked is how, oh, you're so successful, the events you do are amazing. I think what's happening now is we've been doing it long enough, 8 years now, that we may make it look easy. But it's not. No. So the company that I own is called, I've divided into two separate brands. One is called Party and Events Fiji, and we specialize in event management, event styling, and I was the first to introduce the word styling to Fiji because I keep a track of the trends overseas. The more local description would be decorating, yes, indeed. Event equipment hire. I then created a separate brand called Fiji Weddings. Reason being, I realized that my corporate clients really aren't interested about the latest gorgeous wedding I did, and brides are really not interested in the latest corporate events I did. So it's exactly the same services, but Party and Events Fiji is for my corporate clients and everyday individuals who come to us to hire tables and chairs and food warmers for weddings and funerals and birthdays. And Fiji Weddings specializes in wedding styling, which is decorating your wedding. So
tell me about an event that was probably never done or styled that way ever in Fiji. One of the most exciting events that you did, other than my big birthday and other than Fiji Fashion Week.
Well, actually, we try and do things different all the time. One of my favorite events, or one of my best memories, is, as you can appreciate, the largest industry in Fiji is the tourism industry.
Yes.
So to have Tourism Fiji engage my services for their largest event, which is the Fiji Tourism Expo, still is the highlight of my career.
Is this the one where you took 600 people to Mormi Bay? I heard about that.
Yes, that's the one.
And had to get them out really quickly before the guests said, be quiet, I need to go to bed.
Yes, that's it. So the Fiji tourism industry has one major event a year. It's the Fiji Tourism Expo, where they invite the top travel agents from all over the world to come and see what Fiji has to offer. So Tourism Fiji engaged my services to be their event manager for the opening, which was 600 people having a function at the Sofitel with the President of Fiji as a chief guest. And for the closing, the beautiful Mormi Bay Marriott Resort had just opened only a month earlier. So I worked with the Tourist Transport Fiji, and we had to transport 600 people on a Friday afternoon from Denarau Nandi down to Mormi, had a party for 600 people on the beach, and had them all on the coach and back out by 10:30. And the reason that was important is the hotel was already fully booked. And I remember Silvano, the general manager, when the first bus arrived, he's like, Kim, oh, is this going to be okay? I said, don't worry, Silvano, this is going to be an amazing event, and I promise we'll get everyone out. So it was described as the best organized, and everyone had a great time.
What was the theme on the beach? What did the beach look like?
It was beautiful.
I know you build these beautiful huts and using all the draping.
For this particular event, the other thing too is if you've got a beautiful venue, you don't need to do too much styling. It's when you have a not so attractive venue, you need to spend a little bit more money to make it beautiful. And the Marriott Beach, it's at night and you're looking at the overwater Bures. So that in itself was stunning.
Right.
So we had a big stage, we had Inside Out performing, so we had fairy lights, and one of my favorite songs is Tudake Mai. So we had a performance, we had the Vo dancers come in and tell a story of legends, of Fijian legends, and then that turned into the first song was Tudake Mai, so we got all the agents up and they danced the night away under the stars. So what better image to leave this country with than an evening
and then
like
go
that.
home and sell it.
Yes.
So do you think, is there a way to gauge the success of your event into sales?
Well, not necessarily in that particular event, but with regards to events, I remember very clearly when I first started my business, explaining what event management was to corporate clients was really difficult because no one had ever heard of it when I first started 8 years ago. But I have noticed that corporate clients are starting to realize that, you know, if you're a bank or an insurance company, that's your area of expertise.
And there's specific target market.
Yes, but to do an event, you're generally taking staff away from their already full-time jobs to run around quite often like headless chickens to try and organize something when you can just simply outsource to my company and we can do all that running around. And I think one of my proudest moments was one of our corporate clients. They had an 800-pack sit-down formal dinner, and they used to do it before themselves. And we've done their events 2 years in a row now. And the CEO said to me, he said, Kim, we feel weird. I'm like, why? He said, we're so used to running around and doing this all. But we engaged you. We turned up to our event like guests at our own function, had a great time and left. And you took care of everything. So everything from the DJ to styling, equipment, security, planning, the works.
You took care of everything,
people are starting to appreciate it.
Here's your check for taking care of everything.
Yes.
It must be quite a profitable business, Kim.
Yes and no. So the most common perception is, again, you see all these beautiful images of the work that we do, but people do not realize the amount of work that goes in behind it. And another thing to also look at, you just need to Google most stressful jobs in the world, and event management comes up in the top 5 every year for as many years as I can remember. It is a very stressful job to do, but my mom is constantly saying, I don't know how you do it, I don't know how you do it, but I've been doing this for a while and I love it.
And you're used to it.
We're used to it. We're used to it. So it has its good times, and we're starting to see the fruits of our labor. But it is a lot of hard work behind the glamour.
Oh, that's right. Because you're not only in Nandi. You're around. You've got offices around Fiji.
Yes, we are the only events company, dedicated events company in Fiji. All we do is events and weddings. We have offices in Nandi and Fiji, and we service clients all over the country. Our clientele is both locals, everyday people, as well as local corporates. We also have a lot of international clients. So we have international brides that come to Fiji and we style their weddings. And we have a growing amount of international corporates that book our services as well. And
the one event that I love that you do, because I actually went to the very first one when I first brought my husband to Fiji 30 odd years ago. You weren't running it then, but you've revived it, and that's the Sambeto races.
Yes. So the story behind the Sambeto races in a nutshell is I'm from Nandi, and my partner and I have recently bought my father's house in Sambeto. So I went across the river to say hi to my neighbor, Levi Tora, who owns Aviva Farms, who happens to own a racetrack. So fast forward 3 years, we've just finished the 3rd Sambeto races, which was sponsored by Fiji Times. And yes, I'm crazy enough to do it again next year. I have big dreams and big vision, but I wanted to create a spotlight on a beautiful part of Fiji that's only 15 minutes away from Nandi International Airport.
Sambeto, nice. It's away from everything.
Yes.
It's in the valley sort of thing.
It's in the country.
Yeah, it's in the country. You go
down a dirt road.
You can do fashion on the stakes.
Yes, we can.
And even though those horses may not be at Ascot in London, they do pretty well, don't they?
They do fantastic, and it's the only local community event of its kind. And I specifically have made entry fee affordable for everyone, because I want it to be a wonderful community event that we can all be proud of.
Because if you're ever in Nandi, go down to Sambeto and watch the races down there, and we'll be back with you in just a little while to talk some more about Kim's major events. Good evening, and you're back with Ellen Whippy-Knight and Kim Beddoes as we talk some more about a job that could be really interesting for school leavers. You know, events management is a career job, isn't it, Kim?
Yes, it is. Particularly, as I previously mentioned, I think businesses are starting to appreciate the value in having someone organize your events for you.
Yes.
Events and for weddings. I mean, also for weddings, as you can appreciate.
Big market for Fiji weddings.
Yes. Well, for Fiji weddings, a majority of our clientele are international clients, but we have a growing local market as well. And another thing we've noticed is local brides, they want the same thing that brides have. They want their wedding to look like a wedding in Sydney.
Oh, well, why wouldn't you?
They're very
it's your special day.
Yes, exactly. The only difference, though, is with local brides, with local couples, as you know, you cannot have a small function in Fiji.
No.
So a small wedding in Fiji is 200 people, and an average size wedding in Fiji is 400 to 500 people. So the cost of getting married is not...
So some things just haven't changed.
Yes, and I don't think they will.
But you know what? I think the major highlight of your career at this stage, there are many that you've had. I'd like to congratulate you again for being the youngest still, because Women in Business have just had the awards just recently, and you are still the youngest award winner of Executive Woman of the Year.
Businesswoman of the Year.
Executive Businesswoman
Yes.
of the Year, please. I'm sorry. So what do you think helped you to get to that position?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to whoever nominated me, because I still don't know exactly. I bump into people and they say, "Oh, I nominated you." I was like, "Wow." I think it might be my business practice.
Right.
I think it's my business practice and my passion and my drive. And I didn't realize that until the award. And I am actually very grateful for the award. It was the pat on the back that I didn't know I needed. Because
so it made a difference in terms of job orders?
Yes, definitely. I think it has helped my business, but it's also helped. Being a business owner, being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing.
Oh, of course not.
And it's not an easy thing anywhere, but in Fiji it's quite difficult. And it was the pat on the back that I needed, and I didn't realize I needed. What happened is, I have always been a relatively confident person, but I never realized that anyone even noticed what I was doing.
Oh, right.
I was so, involved in my business, just working. I've been running my business 8 years full-time now, and for the first 3 years, I didn't take a day off. I worked 7 days a week, and I didn't think anyone noticed. And when I won the awards last year, I was really quite...
Humbled by it?
Particularly because I'd be walking in the street, particularly in Nandi, my hometown,
yes.
and just people I don't know, women were just coming up to me and hugging me and congratulating me and saying how proud they were of me being from Nandi, people that I went to school with, and then also younger women.
Yes.
I've met quite a few younger women who have said that they've been inspired by my win and have gone and started their own businesses as a result.
Yeah, because events management is a business,
Yes, it is.
And basically, I do know that in universities in other countries, TAFE, the local educational institutions, they actually have events management as a career, because
yes.
in Fiji Fashion Week, I have actually tried
yes.
to bring some of the graduates from those colleges to Fiji to come and work here and then help to train. So do you think that, there is an avenue there and that the Ministry of Education should look at it as another career opportunity?
Yes, I think there's definitely an opportunity there, particularly for wedding planners. I know for a fact that the hotels are constantly looking for wedding planners,
right.
because weddings is a big income part of a lot of the major hotels, and
yes.
there is constantly
for the honeymoon market as well.
Yes.
Are women in particular, and I only say this for women because when you think about all of the events management teams in Fiji, whether they're big or small, the majority of them are run by women. Are women particularly better at this
We're
than
organized.
men? Yes.
There's actually a video that Fiji...
Multi-skilled.
Yes, multi-skilled. So Fiji Women's Crisis Center did a video I saw online recently, and it showed the difficulty women have in business, and it had this cartoon of a man and a woman starting a race, and how a man can get to the top in terms of corporate world, and the woman, it has children come at them, and then it has washing and clothes and everything else. So I think women are naturally good at organizing, because with all due respect, and no dissing the men, in most households, it's the woman that run the show.
Organizing everything.
They're
absolutely.
making sure that there's food on the table, the children are clean, and the house is kept before they go to their job.
Yeah.
So most women have 2 jobs anyway.
But then on the other hand, are there challenges that you face in the industry because you're a woman?
Maybe in the beginning, because actually overseas it's mainly men that are heads of event management, and also when you're dealing in event management, you're dealing with sound, lighting, staging, and marquees. That's all predominantly male.
Yes.
So for me, I didn't experience anything particularly bad. I just proved myself. I let my work do the talking. And in the beginning, of course, they didn't know who I was, and I proved myself, and now I have excellent relationships with all the sound and lighting, stage, marquee men, and I deal with the men all the time, and they're great, and I haven't had any problems, but I let my work do the talking.
And if you were to encourage people to come into the industry, or if there were people that were interested, you know, as you know, we work in events as well, and,
Sure.
and there are always people hanging by there, but you've always got to start from scratch.
Yes.
First of all, how do you say your name? Shake your hand, look me in the eye. The very basics in life.
Yeah.
But if people wanted to get into the career, start a career in events management, what would your advice be?
It isn't as glamorous as it looks. I keep mentioning that
Yes.
bit because, like, I'll give you an example of a working day for my crew. We've recently had the Simbeto races. My team were up from 5 o'clock in the morning, making sure everything. We prepared for a week for that. They're up
For them to start at 5 o'clock in the morning, they've got to be there at 4.
They overnighted. They camped
There
on
you go.
site
There you
because
go.
we learned from last year that
Yes.
it's such a rush to get there first thing in the morning, and then people sleep in. So I had our team camp on site. So they're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they are packing down for some events. I think the latest we've had is we did an event last year. My team finished the pack down from it at 11 a.m. the next day.
So if there were 3 most important things that a person needed to get into the events management, what would they be?
Well, first of all, you need to be passionate. You need to be very interested. You need to know that there's a lot of work involved. And you need to come up with something different.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, not just in the events industry, but in business in general in Fiji, we have a very strong copycat syndrome. So come up with something new.
It is indeed.
You know, so come up with something new, look for inspiration overseas and come up with something new. So that's kind of one of the things I've done with the Simbeto races. It's not something that's been done before, and I'm sure there'll be copycats of that in the future,
Absolutely.
but just come up with something original.
And where to from here with the party and events company that you created? Because I know that you are booked out, almost booked out till the end of the year. What else can we expect?
For the company, my aim is to be the best.
Yes.
I don't want to be the biggest. I just want to be the best. And I want to keep ensuring that every event we do, my team know the drill. There is never an event that we do perfectly that I don't find things that we could improve on. So the aim for us is to keep giving new styles, new looks. We want to be the leaders,
It's always
not the followers.
It's also always about innovation as well.
It's about
isn't it?
innovation. Be different or be dead.
Yes.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
Be different or be dead.
Yes. My father always says that to me. So just keep looking to us to be leaders in the field, and that's what we plan to do.
That's right. Well, good on you, Kim.
Thank you.
You've really and truly set a huge example for people to follow. And I have worked with you before, and I've absolutely found you to be top notch. You're
you.
on time. You're very organized, and communication skills, so important, isn't it?
Yes.
You keep going, and thank you so much for being on the show today. Congratulations on this very big event that everybody should look out for, because I know the Fijian hotel is being closed
Yes.
for the first time, because you're going to be working on an event that has never happened in Fiji before.
It's a pretty massive international client,
Yes.
and it will be our biggest client we've ever had. So my entire team, we've literally had several 5-ton trucks worth of equipment relocated to the hotel. Already started.
Good on
and
you.
it's going to be the biggest event that we've ever done.
Good on you. Can't wait to see the results. You've been watching On Point with Whippy-Knight and Kim Beddoes, our superstar in events management. Be here with us again next week, Monday at 8 p.m.